Good morning, folks. We are the Goldbergs, and today we're answering your deepest thoughts and questions. For me, I'm always asking what is going on in politics or in society. But firstly, I want to make clear I'm not trying to razz anyone on this show. I want to have a hosty-toasty time. First and foremost, Canada is one of the founding members of the League of Nations and has a long-standing role as global peacekeeper after their amazing efforts in World War I. Canada also saw major social and political change with Aboriginals and women getting the right to vote and to be elected to Parliament, which is a great political change. In another great note, Canada in the 1900s saw a rise in Canadian standard living. Luxury items like radios, automotives, electric lights, and flush toilets became commonplace that afforded social living, which is ducky. Another one of the questions I have is, what is news on fashion? Clothes and fashion are always changing with men and women, so if you hear someone say otherwise, it's baloney. A popular clothing item known as the flipper is a dress with a dropped waist that makes every girl look like a doll. An outfit that doesn't change much was the evening dresses, as they nearly reached the ground to make sure no gams are shown. Though many of the popular styles followed the trends of daywear. On the men's side, we moved away from scorch collars and formal three-piece suits during the day. Instead, they adopted soft collars and 1 or 2 button suit jackets, often worn without a waistcoat, which made every guy look like a bimbo. One of the best clothing in this era is Oxford bags that grew in popularity when graduates at Oxford adopted these wide-legged dressers that make men look hard-boiled. Now off to my co-host.
Thank you, sir. Hey y'all, I'm Robert, a part of the Goldbergs, and today we will be talking about the baseball star, Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is really becoming a beloved American hero. I think he is ducky in my opinion. He has won 6 World Series in his baseball career right now. Man, if he wins another going into the 1930s, I might take the hair of a dog. Just in 1927, he got to score 60 home runs. With all these records, he must have so much jack. I'm pretty balled up right now because I don't know if anyone will be able to beat Babe Ruth's outstanding records. Hello everyone, it's Roger once again, and now we are going over what's ducky in music. One song that is having all the tomatoes on their feet is definitely Charleston, a beautiful jazz song that is just so nifty for the ears. This song is so energetic that it can make you become a live wire. I can tell you this much, the African Americans really know how to make music. You can definitely catch me at any joint dancing to this.
Gangs were a big part of Canada's history in the 1920s. Gangsters were a result of the prohibition that occurred in the Roaring '20s. These gangs were usually involved in smuggling alcohol into Canada, gambling for dough, and other forms of crime. In cities like Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, gangs were constantly active. One of the most popular amongst the gangsters was Rocco Perry. He did most of his business in Ontario, the place where he built his bootlegging empire, where he transported alcohol illegally to many joints. Eventually, he got arrested in the 1940s. In addition, the reason men were against this prohibition was because they enjoyed being ossified. And what I mean by that is getting drunk. In the Roaring '20s, there were a lot of elections that happened. An example of one of these elections is the 1920 federal election, which resulted in the Liberals drying up the Conservatives. The final result of this election was a man named William Lyon being elected as Prime Minister of Canada. He was the first French Canadian elected in Canadian history. I guess you could say this election ended up in him being swell, as in like rich, you know.
We are the Goldbergs, and we appreciate you listening to our radio podcast.